Video. My name is Sander and we are at Restoule Provincial Park. Stick around, we will show you the different campgrounds, the different beaches, our favorite lake to paddle, which is Stormy Lake right behind us. So stick around and we will take you along for the journey. Did you know that the movie BackCounty was shot in Restoule? Restoule is located about 45 minutes from North Bay and 3.5 hours from Toronto. So we made it to Restoule. This is where the check-in is. Here's where you get your permit. This is also where the store is as well. Over there, if you go to the left, that's where the campgrounds are. To the right is where it takes you to Stormy Lake. This is our site for 21. It's a pretty big site, but it is a little bit on a hill. It is a very big, spacious site. There's a total of 3 campgrounds in Restoule. The first one is Kettle Point. They're all electric. Putt Point, they're all non-electric. Point, non-electric, and sites 16 to 53 are radio and generator free. In addition, there are walk-in sites, they're also radio and generator free. There is group camping sites on the river, there are interior sites on Stormy Lake, there's 2 beaches on Restoule Lake, 1 boat launch on Restoule Lake, 1 boat launch on Stormy Lake, 2 pet exercise area, 1 is leased and 1 is currently being created and will be an off-leash. In general, the sites here in Kettle Point are pretty spacious. Now we like this loop when you get into the park on the right of the comfort station. That's where we are as well. It's more private this way. So there are some nice waterfront sites. For example, this site here is site 428, which brings you to the water. So let's go check it out. Now all waterfront sites are on Restoule Lake, which for kayaking, canoeing, perhaps not the ideal lake. It's pretty choppy here. Now Restoule is quite hilly and on many sides, including ours, it's a little bit of a hill to get on. So if you have weight distribution bars, I would definitely suggest to take them off when you enter the park to ensure that you're not bending your truck and or trailer frame. So here at Kettle Point there's a comfort station, but there's also some smaller bathrooms like this one. So at the end of the main road, there is a little bit of a dock for your boat. And you can store your rentals here or kayaks, canoes. This is the main road that takes you to the beach. These are also all waterfront sites. At Restoule in general is you want to get waterfront. If you can get waterfront, go for it. If you can't, you want to be up towards the upper rows. In general, you get more privacy, bigger sites. Example of a second row site, and as you can see the privacy is much less. However, the further you go up the hill, the more private they get again. So at the end of the first road is where the access is to the beach. Like in any other provincial parks, you cannot bring your pets here, and no smoking and no lifeguards. This is the third row where it starts getting a little bit more private. After site 424, there's this little trail here. There is Restoule Lake. There are some picnic tables where you can just hang out. You can launch your canoe or kayak here as well. And they do have the bathhouse here as well. Here's the boat launch. And this is the parking for the main beach. So again, this is the main beach area. It's nice and sandy and it's on Restoule Lake. It's pretty big, but it does get busy in the summer. Here's the parking for the second beach at Restoule at Putt Point. This is the second beach at Restoule. This is at the Putt Point campground. It's a much smaller beach than the main beach, but nice and sandy overall. This is the boat launch at Bells Point, and this is also where the pet exercise area is. In Bells Point there are sections where you are not allowed to have any audio devices or generator. Now you may wonder, should I bring my bikes to Restoule? The quick answer is absolutely. The somewhat longer answer is depending on the room that you have. If you have kayaks, canoes, stand-up paddleboards, I would definitely bring them over the bike. Even though you can bike every trail here and it's very nice, it is very hilly, so if you're not so experienced, you know, keep that in mind. On the flip side, if you have any water toys, Stormy Lake is an amazing lake. I would always take the water toys over the bike. Unless you have room for both, then absolutely bring both. So right behind me is the main parking lot. This is also where the bridge is, where you can overlook the rapids. Signage is pretty good here. So you can see Fire Tower Trail, River and Gibbs, and Rangers Point straight ahead, which is also a nice little short trail to do. But honestly, if you are at Restoule and there's one trail to do, this is the one. It is the Fire Tower Trail with one of the best lookouts. The other thing is at Restoule, when you're here, they always have now posts where you can clean your shoes to make sure you're not spreading. The first section of the trail is through what looks like planted pine forest. Most of the trees are like perfectly aligned. So once you pass the pine forest, this is really where the trail starts right here. This is the road that takes you to the boat launch. So the beginning of the actual trail, there's a lot of boardwalk, which is kind of nice. It's an easy walk. And it takes you through this swampy area. It almost reminds me of a rainforest. So towards the top of the trail is where you have the split point, which is right there. You can either go slow incline to Amber Lake, which will take you to the fire tower and then the lookout, or you can go to the lookout and then the fire tower trail. However, this section right here is very, very steep. We always like to do this way around, plus that way you get the fire tower first, then the lookout, which is arguably the best part of the trail. So I would suggest to take the Amber Lake route rather than taking the steep incline, which you can't really see how steep it is, but believe me, it's steep. Amber Lake is that way. Now after Amber Lake, it's very steep here. It's probably hard to see on camera, but it's a very steep climb up the hill towards the fire tower. So once you're up the hill, there's several other lookout points over Amber Lake. And if you take Amber Lake, this is the first view you get. This is ultimately the end view. As you can see, a pretty nice view overlooking Stormy Lake. After you descend back to the parking lot from the lookout, it gets very steep, so just take your time. This is the steepest section right here, but again, likely the camera won't show you how steep it is. On the way back, you get spots like this with a view over Stormy Lake. That was the Fire Tower Trail, so definitely recommend it if you're in Restoule. It's the one trail you absolutely should do. So we're at the start of the trail. So you can see here you have the outer loop and you have the inner loop. Inner loop is really meant for mountain biking. The outer loop is more for a leisurely bike ride. So we're definitely going to do the inner loop. And you can see the elevation here. That's the taste of the inner trail. It's actually quite fun, so recommend it if you have a good mountain bike.
5 minutes later.
So that was the Angels Point Trail. It's a nice little mountain bike trail. Don't let the trail itself scare you. You can make it as hard as you want, meaning the faster you go, the harder it gets. There are some nice little twists and turns, inclines, hills, jumps. Keep in mind it is pretty muddy. You can see based on my tires, they're completely coated in mud. Now there is one thing, I tried to do this trail in the fall last year, but with all the leaves falling you cannot see the trail. So if you are interested in doing this trail, I would suggest from spring to early fall, because once the leaves start falling you cannot find the trail.
Tomorrow for sure.
One of our favorite things to do at Restoule is kayak Stormy Lake, so we just loaded up the kayaks. We'll drive over to Stormy Lake, we'll launch them, and we'll take you along for the paddle. So this is the boat launch where we're going to start our journey. So we are on Stormy Lake, one of the favorite lakes, or my favorite lake to paddle on. Now keep in mind you are sharing this with boats, so just keep an eye open for that, because you know, boats aren't always as considerate for canoers and kayakers. As you head out of the boat launch here, you can start seeing the fire tower. So we are on our own private beach here on Stormy Lake. I'm not allowed to tell you where this is, so I won't. But it is a nice sandy private beach here. It's very nice here. Trail is a short trail. It is again accessible by bike like most trails at Restoule, with the exception of the Fire Tower Trail. There are two picnic areas. We are on one and number two is over there. Now the nice thing about these picnic areas is they overlook Stormy Lake, including the bluff over there, which, as we found out yesterday, is like 100 meters above the water. The Regis Point Trail is a nice short trail with a couple nice lookouts, so since it's not too hard, not too long, definitely recommend it. And again, you're overlooking the bluff and the fire tower right there. This is the rental and discovery hub. This is where you rent your canoes, kayaks and stand-up paddle boards. And right next to it is the Regis Point Trail.
82 kilometers later.
Let's talk about Restoule. Restoule is an absolutely great park. There's lots to do. One of the best trails in Ontario, the Fire Tower Trail, so definitely recommend doing that one. There's two lakes, Stormy Lake and Restoule Lake, and you can paddle from Restoule to Stormy, even though Restoule is pretty choppy at times. The other nice thing about the park is all trails are accessible by bike. Now you can either see this as a pro or a con. Pro because you can explore the trails by bike. Con, you may encounter bikes on your trail. Having said that, I have not seen many bikes on the trail yet. I've taken my bikes, but I think that's pretty much the exception. There's a mountain bike trail. This is one of the only parks with a mountain bike trail, which is pretty cool. Depending on the time of year that you come, if you come in the fall, forget it, you're not going to find the trail. They're completely covered in leaves, you're not going to see it. But other times of the year, if you are a little bit more of an experienced mountain biker, definitely recommend it. Paddling Stormy Lake is absolutely my favorite. It's just a beautiful lake. You have the big bluff in the background there. There's islands to explore, there is interior campsites. It's just a very nice lake to paddle. There's multiple spots where you can launch. You can launch it in the river, you can launch it at the boat launch. So definitely recommend it. If you have kayaks, canoes or stand-up paddleboard, definitely bring them. If you don't, you can rent them here. And I think it's like 35 or 40 bucks for half a day, so it's really not that expensive, and it's just such a great way to explore the park. So most of the drawbacks of the park is it's literally in the middle of nowhere. So if you need some groceries, the closest town is Restoule, which is about 20 kilometers away. There's really two little stores. They have variety stores, they carry most things, but expect to pay the premium. So when you go to Restoule, be prepared, but once you're there, have an amazing time because it's just a great park. The other thing is it's relatively close to Mikisu, so you know, even a day trip to Mikisu is like 20 minutes. So but further to that, if you're looking for more parks like Restoule, check out this video or check out the top 6 provincial parks in Ontario.